matter, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please state and spell your name for the court?
Heather Johnson, HeatherJohnson.
Ms. Johnson, how are you employed?
I am with the Gwinnett County Police Department.
And what is your role there?
Crime Scene Specialist 3.
Right, so you work for the crime scene unit there?
Yes.
How long have you held that position?
I've been with the department since June of 2010, so about 14 and a half years.
And tell us a little bit about the training that one must get to become a crime scene technician.
I have a bachelor's degree in forensic biology, and I double majored and I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, an associate's degree in photography, and I'm certified through the state of Georgia as a crime scene technician as well as a latent print examiner.
Now, what exactly does a crime scene technician do?
For crime scene, what we do is we go to scenes, document, collect. Sometimes we process for fingerprints, we swab for DNA, and basically documentation and collection.
And what you do at each scene, does that determine on the facts and circumstances of that specific scene?
Yes.
Now, back in November of 2021, were you called out to the hometown studios located at 7049 Jimmy Carter Boulevard?
Yes, I was.
And what was the nature of the call that you were responding to?
I was informed that it was a missing child.
Okay. Now, when you arrived at the location, was the scene cordoned off anyway? Describe what you walked into.
Yes, so when I arrived on scene, they had yellow tape up on the exterior of in the hallway to apartment or room 251. There was actually yellow tape up.
So this would prevent the public from having access in and out of that specific area?
Yes.
Now, room 251, is that the room that you actually went into and actually process as well?
Yes.
I'm going to tender into evidence, Judge, State's Exhibit number 71, which is a copy of the certified copy of search warrant 21X01402, specifically to search the premises of room 251 of the hometown studios located at 7049 Jimmy Carter Boulevard for the purposes of the record only.
No objection for the purposes of the record only, Judge.
Admitted without objection.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, you entered the room pursuant to that search warrant which authorized your access, is that right?
Yes.
All right, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you do when you begin the process of processing.
So usually what we do first is we do a walkthrough, and often we walk through with the detectives and we just observe what is already out. We see anything that we might want to go ahead and document and collect prior to searching anything. Once we conduct that walkthrough, I then start doing overall photography before anything is removed or touched.
And is that what you did in this case?
Yes.
Are you there by yourself as far as crime scene's concerned, or are there other technicians also?
I did have another technician with me on this case.
Okay. Now, I want to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 72 all the way through 91. They have been previously shown to defense counsel. Can you just generally tell us what we're looking at?
These are photographs that I obtained from within the residence at 251.
Anything about that that seems to be altered or deleted in some manner from your recollection of the room that day?
No.
Okay. Judge, at this time, we would move to tender into evidence State's Exhibit 72 all the way through 92.
All right, you said through 91 before, so I want to make sure it's
Let me
not.
double check, Judge. I apologize, Judge. There's actually 92 all the way to exhibit number 92, and I have previously shown those to defense counsel as well.
That's correct, Judge. We've seen them and no objection.
Admitted without objection.
Thank you, Judge. At this time, I would move to tender in some of those photographs, or excuse me, publish some of those photographs.
Granted.
Thank you. I think you should give this to those on the screen. All right. Now, I am showing you what's been marked as States Exhibit 72 and 73, starting with 72. Is that can you tell us what we're looking at here from your vantage point as you enter into the room?
So this is, as I say, entering into the room. I'm actually standing in the front entry door, and this is looking to the left.
And Ms. Johnson, I do have a pointer that the court has provided. If you don't mind, it might be easier for the jury if you could stand up.
Okay.
If that's all right with the court, and go ahead and point out certain things.
It is.
Okay.
All right, so this is you can see this is kind of like the door jamb here as you come in, and then there was a dresser here and some shoes and stuff, and then this is one of the beds you can see here.
Now, moving on to States Exhibit number 73 and 74. Tell us about that.
So this is as you're continuing into the room. You can see this is the foot of that bed here. This is a second bed. So when you first entered into the room, there would have been a bed kind of right across from you, and then another one to the left. So these are the two beds, and these are some of the trash bags that we had around. A lot of them had clothing in them. Some of them had wet clothing. We had like a white trash bag with yellow handles. We had this grayish looking kind of like a waffle pattern with black handles, and these are just some of the things.
All right, and I believe that was States Exhibit 73, and this is 74. Is that a close-up of the items that were found in the bags?
This is a close-up of the bags that were located at the foot of the second bed.
Okay.
Is what I called them first bed when you first come in. Second bed was the left bed.
I'm going to move you over to States Exhibit number 76. What is it that we're looking at here?
All right, so as you can see, this is actually the front entry door. So when I first took that other picture and looked into the left, the dresser would have been over here. The beds would be behind me if you were standing in this position.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And behind the door, I noticed that there was a larger defect in the wall, so I photographed that.
Okay. I'm going to move you over to States Exhibit 78. Tell us what we're seeing here, please.
All right, so if you had the first bed and the second bed. On the left side of the second bed, there was a trash can along with some other trash bags that were on the ground as well. When we were doing our search, after I did my overall initial photographs, and the search was occurring, we ended up looking through the trash bags, and we found a diaper that had duct tape wrapped around it.
This is States Exhibit 79. What is this here?
This is also one of those trash cans. You can see there's some underwear here, and this bottle here. This was all on the floor near that same area to the left of the bed number 2. And inside of it, I noticed there were some blue gloves. Those were ended up being documented and collected. There were actually 2 sets of gloves. They were double gloved almost. Like you'd have a glove and then pull it off, and another 2 sets of gloves that were pulled off.
This is States Exhibit number 80. What are we seeing here?
All right, so during the search to the right of bed number 1, there was a black backpack, and during the search, they located this box as well as some other items, and this had some ammo in it.
And States Exhibit number 81.
This was inside of the black bag as well. There was a glove, it's like a work glove, and inside of the work glove was a handgun.
And is that noted here in States Exhibit 82? Tell us how this is laid out, please.
Yes, so this is documented, and then we have the live cartridges, unfired cartridges here.
All right, State's Exhibit number 83. Where is this in relation to the two beds that we originally saw in the photos?
All right, so this would be when you first enter, you have your first, your second bed, and then if you turn and look at the wall, directly across, it's at that far wall. And the trash cans from the back that we looked through a minute ago would have been right here in this area.
Can the jury hear her okay standing away from the microphone?
All right, Ms. Johnson, I'm going to move over to State's Exhibit number 84. What is it that we're looking at here?
So usually, like I said, when I do my first documentations, I look over and just document everything as it is. In this case here, we had some food items up here, we had the trash bags here, and we were just trying to show what all was stored.
Is that the top of the refrigerator?
It is the top of the
Okay,
refrigerator.
all right. And then State's Exhibit number 85.
This is on the sink. We had a bottle of bleach that was here and some other items.
Okay, that's next to the refrigerator as well?
Yes.
Now, State's Exhibit number 86. Why would you look inside? I'm assuming this is a refrigerator.
Yes.
Is that also part of your common practice when photographing and processing a scene?
It depends on the type of scene and what's possibly occurring. So in this instance, we decided to document food availability based on some of the information we had received. So we wanted to document food availability within the residence.
So this was all the food that was in the refrigerator at the time that you went in to process room 251 of the Hometown Studios?
Yes.
How about State's Exhibit 87?
Same, this was in the freezer, showing the food items that were located within the freezer.
State's Exhibit 88?
This was in one of the kitchen drawers that was also in that little kitchenette area.
Again, those are more food items
Yes.
Based on your visual?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 89, is that the same drawer or a different drawer?
That's a different drawer. This is one drawer below. It has some food items as well.
How about State's Exhibit number 90?
These were some of the upper cabinets. Again, we were just showing that there were food items in upper cabinets as well.
All right, and I have two more pictures, so I'll just ask you to remain standing for a minute. At some point while you were still on scene at the Hometown Studios, room 251, did you also receive information from other crime scene technicians who were still at headquarters with the children, Jakari and Zaire?
I did.
And what information or what was relayed to you to help you find additional items that may be of help to the investigation?
I was told that there was, we needed to look into finding possible things that caused injuries to the children.
Okay.
There were some injuries that were observed that were kind of thin, could have been more like cord or something more thin and like rounded off like a cord or something.
So I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 91 first. What is it that we're looking at?
This is that trash can and the trash bags I spoke of earlier, and then this right here was a hanger and had sort of a white thin area that I thought could have been used to make those marks.
Were there multiple hangers that were found in the room?
Not really that I remember. This one just happened to be lying by itself. I don't remember seeing many other hangers. Mostly the clothes that I observed were in bags or on the floor.
Okay. And State's Exhibit number 92.
This was in one of the trash bags as well. It was a black, like, kind of string. It was like a little bit of a black rope piece.
Okay. Thank you. You can have a seat for me here. Now, at the time that you processed this scene, was this still a missing persons investigation to your knowledge?
Yes.
And was that essentially your involvement as far as the scene was concerned?
Yes.
Now, some of these items here, for example, the cord, et cetera, were those also taken out of the room and collected by you?
Yes.
Were there any, what about the hanger?
Yes, the hanger was also collected.
And those items, what do you do with those items when you take them out of the room?
Anything that we collect, we secure it in our crime scene truck. We transport it to our unit. We then secure it within our crime scene unit. After that, I will usually document in our lab, and then that would be some things can be processed, some things only need to be photographed, and then those get turned into our evidence storage.
Now, your understanding was there were multiple people who were living in this room?
Yes.
In a situation where there are multiple people living in a room and you're still looking at a missing person, do you do fingerprint type work?
No.
Okay. Why would that be?
Because if they reside there, then their fingerprints are most likely there. And at this point, again, we were just looking at it as a possible missing person. And there was no indication that someone had came into the residence.
Okay. And any toys or children's items that you noticed throughout your search?
Not that I recall.
Did you notice any sort of laptops, school books, any school-related paraphernalia that you recall?
Not that I recall.
Thank you. I think that's all I have, Judge, at this time for Ms. Johnson.
Mr. Greenwald.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Ms. Johnson.
Good morning.
Just a couple of questions, okay? I actually sound better now than I did yesterday, so hopefully you can hear me okay. As a crime scene specialist, crime scene technician, in addition to doing fingerprints or trying to lift fingerprints from a potential crime scene, you also do testing for blood. Is that correct?
Yes, we collect the samples, potential blood, and then it gets tested at another lab, usually the GBI. So we would collect a sample for DNA or blood, but we wouldn't be the one to like test it to see that it actually is.
Sure.
But we do collect.
You can collect.
Yes.
In this case, were you asked to collect either initially or subsequently any potential items for suspected blood or spatter?
And at the scene, I ended up seeing, we had a pillow that had possible blood stains on it, so I ended up collecting that. There were some clothing items that were wet within those trash bags at the foot of the bed. I ended up collecting those, and later at the lab, I documented them. I didn't cut or either, whatever the way they were was how I documented them and then repackaged them so they could be sent for further processing if needed. But I did examine those to see if there was any possible blood stains on those. I also processed the blue gloves that were in the trash can, and I did touch DNA swabs on those.
And what are DNA swabs?
So DNA swabs are when we try to collect any type of cells. It can be DNA as far as it can be blood, but it can also be skin cells. That's what I'm talking about when I say touch DNA swabs. It could be skin cells.
And so that was your role to collect the items, but ultimately you don't know if they were ever sent off to the GBI crime lab for analysis.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Any redirect?
Just briefly, Judge. Ms. Johnson, the items you indicated that were presumptive, that you had taken in that may have blood on them, when you say a presumptive test, is that a preliminary test?
Yes, so mostly the time we document if we see a reddish stain or something we think could potentially be blood, we can test it with a chemical called phenolphthalein. And when we do that, it's a presumptive test. It doesn't mean that it's actually a positive test. So in some cases where I might see a potential blood stain, I would test it. If I really think that it's, like, I look at it and go, okay, yes, that's definitely probably a blood stain, I might just package the whole item so the whole item could be sent to the GBI. If I'm still unsure and I just look at it and say, okay, that's a reddish brown stain, I'm not positive, let me do a presumptive test. And it's, again, just presumptive, and it has to be verified in a lab.
Now, were there any items that came back being, I guess, is positive the correct word for a presumptive test for potential blood?
Yes. I only had one item. There was a pair of shorts that had a small stain on the front of them, and it was a very faint positive, but I did get that and documented that.
And the ultimate decision for testing, is that, whose decision is that?
That is up to the detective.
And that's for further testing if there is a positive presumption of blood?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Judge.
No other questions, Your Honor.
May the witness be excused.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.